Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to another week of the Goalink Show. My name is Ben. I am your host and the founder of Goalink, and you might be asking, what in the world is Goalink? It is a goal-setting community providing growth junkies, which is hopefully you, with weekly challenges to avoid complacency. These challenges are inspired by different brands to bring you new ways to develop and improve yourself consistently. You can kick back and watch me take on these exciting and uncomfortable challenges, or you can join me. I challenge every listener, yes, you listening right now, to complete these weekly goals. Catch the content on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at Goalink Group. The Goalink Show, this podcast, recounts experiences from the achievers of the world, but not just the success and not just from one area. We delve into the challenges and the struggles that we all face. How do we find the will to push through? What role do motivation, discipline, and failure play in our lives? Let's talk about the process and not just the result. We discuss this and much more in the show. Thanks for tuning in. This week is an awesome episode. I have my friend Asia on the show. She's a dietitian, mother, food enthusiast, and she works at the Center for Change, which is an eating disorder treatment center. And she's married to my friend Zeke. We've known each other for a while. She's an awesome person. So get ready for some discussion that rearranges your perception about food and diet. It sure changed my thinking. And we talk about why diets are not healthy and why our mindset should be and what it should be instead. How we can make peace with food and honor our satisfaction. Learn about intuitive eating. This was cool for me to learn about. Why stress affects us more than what we eat and exercise. So stress affects us more than what we eat and exercise helps us to do. So stress equals bad. What it's like being married to a picky eater. We talk about key marriage and relationship tips that have helped her, and the joys and challenges of motherhood, and much more. So stay tuned. Let's get into it. Let's go. Let's jump in. So Asia, welcome to the Goalink Show. I appreciate you doing this via telephone. How are you this Saturday morning?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me.
You know it. And first off, Asia, you're an amazing person, an outstanding mother, and every time I'm around you, I feel like love and calmness. I'm sure you've got that, and you're a wife to one of my best friends, Ezekiel.
Yeah.
So thank you for real for being on this, and
that's so nice of you.
Of course, and we'll jump into a few things, but give a quick background on yourself of where you've worked, what you've studied, and then kind of regarding to nutrition, diet, and anything else you want to talk about.
Sure, yeah. Okay, so I studied dietetics. I did the dietetics program at BYU. So I graduated from the dietetics program in 2014. And then after dietetics program, in order to become a dietitian, there's a couple of steps. Completing an accredited program, completing an accredited internship, which is about like over 1,200 hours, along with some graduate school credits.
Cool. And
I completed that through BYU as well. And then the last step is completing the registered dietitian exam, so passing that exam. So I did that in 2015, and then I started my first dietitian job at the Center for Change in Orem, Utah. I now work at the Center for Change in Cottonwood Heights, Utah. The Center for Change is an eating disorder clinic. We do all levels of care, inpatient, outpatient, day program, intensive outpatient. And so that's mostly where I have the majority of my work experiences, working with eating disorders. So I work with practices like health at every size, intuitive eating, intuitive movement, and eating disorder recovery.
That's so cool. How did you get into this? When did you know, and how did you find out you wanted to study this? How did you get into it?
Yeah, so my high school, I went to a trade school. I'm from Massachusetts, and I went to a trade school, high school, where the trade that I learned was culinary arts. So every other week, one week we would do academics, and the following week we would do our trade. There's multiple trades at my school. You know, you could do electricity, carpentry, cosmetology, nursing. I just picked culinary arts. And I just knew I wanted to do something with food, and I was kind of lost my first year of college. And I did introduction to food sciences, like a 1-credit course. And I remember a dietitian came and spoke to our class, and I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. So I just went full steam ahead and did that.
Yeah, that's rad. Does your family like love food, or have you just always enjoyed like the art of it, or like I don't even know what to call it, but more than just like, this is fuel, like, you know?
Yes, my family is just like full-fledged foodies, all of them. We love food. We love going out to eat. We love making food. So yeah, I think that started before high school. It's just that love of food and creating. And a lot of my fellow high school classmates, you know, went on to culinary school, so to become actual chefs, and I just went a different direction. But yeah, it definitely stems from just the pure love of food.
Which is great. I mean, because that means you'll like enjoy it, and I think that's what people should do is like, what's something I enjoy? What's something I can do every day and love it, you know?
Absolutely. I love my job so much, and I'm sure not everybody can say that, but I love my job.
That's so cool. So for the Center for Change, how did you find that, or did it find you?
So for the dietetics program, you need to have a certain number of hours before applying. I think it's about 300 hours of experience in the field of nutrition or food. And my friend was working there, and she introduced me to it. So I actually started at the Center for Change as a care tech or a psych tech. So I was just, you know, with our patients 24/7 and helped, you know, sit in groups or eat food with them, do meals. And I wasn't thinking, oh, I want to work in the field of eating disorders. I had a completely different vision for myself. But once I started working there, I felt like I couldn't fit into any other vision of myself. That was the only thing that I was meant to do, and it's just always felt good since then. So that's why I just keep working there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I was inspired by, you posted on Instagram, that was a week ago, I believe, right? About, it was it the week of like National Eating Disorder Awareness Week or something?
Yes, exactly. National Eating Disorder Awareness Week.
And so can you talk about, I guess, essentially just what did that post say and what is the importance of it?
Yeah, you know, like for how passionate I am about this and how much I love this work in this field, I kind of struggle, and I have a hard time maybe putting my voice out there because I am a peacemaker, and sometimes I have a hard time because I know maybe the things that I'll say or the things that I believe will cause conflict, which is not what I'm trying to do. I would love to educate more than cause conflict, but with anything in differing opinions, there's going to be conflict. So it took a minute for me to post this, but I just feel so strongly about it. It was National Eating Disorder Awareness Week, and I was just sitting in my office thinking about, you know, my patients and honestly how inspired I am by them and how brave I believe that these humans are. And I just wanted to put my little plug into the social media universe. I kind of like the harmful effects of dieting and diet culture, and just wanted to voice my 2 cents about maybe some more helpful or positive ways that we can interact with each other. I think that all too readily people make comments about each other's appearances. You know, if you haven't seen somebody for a while, it's like, you look so great, you know, have you been hitting the gym, or I need to do that. And it's so easy to go to comments like that. And that can be quite harmful for maybe somebody who's struggling with their body or struggling with eating. And I believe everybody knows somebody who is currently struggling or has struggled with their relationship with food or relationship with their bodies. I mean, about 1 in 4 women have had experiences with eating disorders or disordered eating tendencies. And, you know, there's also a statistic for men. It's not just women. But it's just so common So just trying to put my 2 cents of, hey, let's make comments about people's qualities and maybe not physical qualities.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah, so that was mostly what I was just trying to say.
So, like, what would you say? So, like, next time, like, if we'll use me as an example, just because I'm fishing for a compliment now. So, so next time I see you, like, I come to Utah, or who knows, you may come out here.
Yeah.
To the South, because your family's here now. But
Right.
what's something, like, as an example, like, what would you say to someone instead of, man, you look so great? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, for an example for you, just easy, like, hey, I've been listening to your Goalink challenges. I think that's really brave of you, or that's really awesome. So anything, like, these people, if you're interacting with them, are likely your friends or that you have a relationship with. So just, like, taking a second to dig a little bit deeper of, you're brave, or that move across the country, like, wow, how are you? How's life? You know, just
I
things
like that.
that.
There we go. Like more, yeah, just, I guess more depth to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
cool. So what's your pet peeve about diets then? Like, aside from maybe the deeper meaning, the deeper harmful effects, what's more of just like a pet peeve about just dieting in general?
Oh my goodness. Pet peeve with dieting. Yes. Well, my number one pet peeve, I guess maybe me as a dietitian. So, you know, when you're getting to know somebody, that's a pretty common question of, what do you do, or whatever. And as I tell people that I work as a dietitian, I mean, I can tell you just off my hand how many comments I receive that are, oh, you should help me, you know, patting their stomach like, I think I have a problem with food, or, oh, please don't look at what I'm eating, like, you'll judge me. Oh no, I will not. I so promise you I will not.
She won't. You won't, I promise.
One time I had told somebody, you know, that I work as a dietitian in the field that I work in eating disorders, and she said back to me like, oh my goodness, can you please teach me how to have an eating disorder? Because very heavy with sarcasm, but I was like,
no.
like, oh my goodness, what is
Wow.
happening? Like, I just have trouble getting into my jeans. It would be so helpful if I could just have an eating disorder. And so that's probably my biggest pet peeve, is sometimes just telling people what I do for a living and them assuming maybe what my job is, or what my views are, or what my values are, and they're pretty different than what you would think. And my biggest pet peeve is also maybe people telling me what diets they're doing. Like, I'm doing keto. Like, what are your thoughts? And I'm always like, oh, I don't think it's great.
That's interesting. I'm already learning a lot, actually. This is really cool. Like, thanks for sharing this. And I think this is a really cool perspective for people to learn about. Because honestly, I'm not sure if I've said something like that to you, but I definitely would. You know, like, I would say like I think I sent Zeke something about, it was about keto and like carnivore, like this dude who's just gone to like super extremes of like dieting, like he only eats meat now. And I was like, dude, and like his reasoning was, because that's like the primitive diet of how we used to eat. And so, like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, that's a diet, you know, like just to eat meat or keto. So what do you not agree with, or what don't you see as it being viewed as healthy on the trendy things right now?
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a great question. So there's two things that come to mind for me. Number one, like the bigger umbrella term that gets thrown around, or maybe gets is equivalent with diets, which I think is not true, is like diets equal health, which is not always the case. Hardly
Dude, this
ever.
is great. Wow.
Right?
You're blowing my mind.
thinking of health and like, what does that mean to you? That's often an assignment that I give to my patients, is write your own definition of health, because it's almost like society has spoon-fed us. Like, health means looking a certain way, health means eating a certain way. And it's funny how diets have changed. You know, we go back to the 80s or whatever, and it was like Atkins, which is basically just like low carb, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
we go to the 90s and everything is low fat, no fat. And now we're here and it's like keto, high fat. And so it's funny how trends change, diets change. And it's just because the dieting industry is about a $60 billion industry. So
Wow.
this is a mass money maker. And that's the point of the dieting and marketing industry, is because it is a money maker being sold in a nice package that looks like hell. And what studies, and that's what I can do as a dietitian, is only share evidence-based studies. What all studies show is that diets have about a 95 to 98% failure rate. All diets.
Whoa.
And a failure meaning regaining the weight that was lost during the diet or gaining more than what your initial starting weight was. So that's like what failure means in this term.
Because your rebound
so
is, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No,
yeah,
go ahead.
No,
I interrupted.
No, you're okay. You think that, oh, diets and I'm taking care of my body and I'm doing what's up to date. But truly it's a money-making industry. And if you think about this in another term of health, so you go to the doctor because you suffer from debilitating migraines, and this doctor is like, well, here's this medication. You know, it's pretty time-consuming, costs a lot of money, and actually studies show that 95 to 98% of the time people have the same migraines or worse. Like, would you want to take that medication? You know, like, no, absolutely not. You wouldn't want to risk that. So it's just, number one, maybe identifying what does health mean to you. What it means to me is, you know, a healthy relationship with others, like with my family, with my friends, a healthy relationship with food, you know, food taking up a portion of my day, but not all of my thoughts and not all day. Healthy relationship with movement, being able to be present in the moment with my friends or at parties or whatever that may be, being able to be like the best version of myself and serve others, instead of maybe what society's version of health is looking a certain way, eating a certain way, appearing to be a certain way, being disciplined in this and that, you know?
That is awesome. And what I like that you touched on is that it's more than diet. Like health it's your thoughts, it's the people you're around, your other relationships. Like there's a lot of different types of relationships too.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think you should start speaking up more. But I'm not sure if that's, you know, like you want to, or if that's in your personality or whatever you want to do. But even just from this short time, like it's really cool. I just want to tell you that. And I was going to ask you this, but you already kind of mentioned it.
Yeah.
Do you believe nutrition and diet is like per individual?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it is absolutely individualized and a unique journey for people. And something I said earlier is some of the types of practices that I use in my work, one of them being intuitive eating. Have you ever heard of intuitive eating?
I have, but educate me because I don't know that much about it.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So intuitive eating is, what it really is it was created, it's a book, created by two dietitians in 1995, and there have since been, I can't remember the exact number, but maybe like 75 or more evidence-based studies based on this. Intuitive eating is this like type of eating that is really bringing it back home to our bodies and body attunement. So it's getting back in touch with our bodies, to trust our bodies to guide us each to a diet that is valuable to each of us. You know, and mine is going to look different than yours, different than somebody else. My relationship with exercise is going to be different than yours and somebody else. It's this notion too that if every single person in the world ate the exact same and worked out the exact same, we would still all have different body types, you know? So it's like respecting our different body types and set points of our weight and feeding our bodies the way that each of our bodies are supposed to be fed. It's kind of a complex, it's like both a simple and a complex idea, just because dieting, we get so used to dieting telling us what to do like as humans, we like to follow rules. We like to check boxes. It feels good, right? To
Mhm.
say, yes, I did this. Yes, I did this. And intuitive eating is a little bit different. Like there are zero rules. There's no way to fail at intuitive eating, and that can feel really foreign to people who especially have a long-standing history of diet or maybe don't have a healthy relationship with food. But it's about honoring your body, rejecting the diet mentality, making peace with food, honoring your satisfaction, respecting your body, and exercising and things like that.
That is cool. So it's definitely individual. However, I'm not sure if this is a hard question. Are there any broad, like, no, you shouldn't eat this or no, you shouldn't do this, like that can apply to everyone? Like, hey, you shouldn't drink, I don't know, tons of soda every day or something like that. Is there like maybe something excessive, or is there any rule that can apply to anyone or everyone?
That's a good question. So I guess my blanket statement would be no, that there's no food rules. And I know that that sounds so weird coming from a dietitian or coming to anybody or even believing that. And that's because we're kind of really trained to believe, right, that there is a certain way to eat and we're always in pursuit of that. So that's why intuitive eating can be really foreign and can be really kind of quite uncomfortable. Making peace with food can feel uncomfortable because it feels like if I make peace with food or if I allow myself to eat whatever I want, then I'll never stop eating or I'll only eat the bad foods. That's kind of some of the fears that come into play. And then also another fear that comes into that is then I will gain weight, which is in our society like, oh, let's never gain weight, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes quite scary, which is why I think as humans that we cling a lot to diet because it feels comfortable to check boxes. And then as soon as that diet doesn't work for you, we jump to the next diet or we jump to the next trend of whatever that may be.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
no, there's no blanket statement, but definitely honoring your body. Like, you know, if I only drink soda for the rest of my life, I might notice, hey, I don't feel too great. Like I'm not
Yeah.
sleeping well and this and that, and I'm kind of craving like
Okay.
water or milk. So it's being able to recognize that your body can and will respond to all types of your eating as well, you know, of that freedom. I'm just going to eat cheeseburgers all day. Eventually I'm going to be craving a cold, crisp apple because I'm over cheeseburgers, you know? So it's like trusting your body to know what it needs and allowing yourself to feel fullness and feel hunger and not diminish those feelings.
So this just clicked for me because it goes back to the word intuitive. So there are no rules, but the only rule is listen to your body, right? And it's how it feels and how it makes you feel, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally. Like,
exactly.
So for me, yeah, I'm going to have to think on that, but I really like it. It's finally clicked. Okay, I like it.
Okay.
So I want to go back to you mentioned about going into the doctor because you have migraines and medication. So you're married to a medical student. Is there any, so are there any, and I've talked to him a little bit about this, but is there any, like, do you guys have any conflicting, like, opinions versus, because I think they can, like, they're related and they should be, like, married together and they both have their benefits of, like eat well so you don't have to go to the doctor. But of course, doctors are here for a reason and it's science and it's proven. So, like, what are your thoughts on maybe, like, not alternative medicine, but like using food as a healer and your body as the healer? Because I think we have everything inside us that we already need. And so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I definitely think that the way that you eat and the way that you care for your body is going to affect like how you feel in your body, and that's kind of what I was trying to say before, which you were saying as well. So I guess with medicine or with Zeke being in medical school and soon to be a doctor, he's working with people who are already sick. So I guess like my views, and Zeke and I, we talk about this often. Sometimes he'll come home and tell me, oh, you would really like the way that this doctor addressed weight or the way that somebody was eating, or he'll come home and be like, oh, you would have hated the way that this doctor addressed it. So I love that he picks up on those things, and I think that it's going to help make him a better doctor. I think, so with the movement of health at every size is the notion that everybody deserves respect, and we as humans are flawed.
Everybody.
And yes, every body and every physical body. And in the healthcare and also in society, there's a really strong weight bias, you know, like sometimes looking at maybe a person who is overweight of assuming they're unhealthy. They don't take care of themselves. That's a weight bias, and that is affecting people and medical care in the medical society, in that environment. And sometimes that weight bias can make people feel so uncomfortable that don't feel comfortable in their bodies, that are living in larger sized bodies, to not seek out medical care for fear of how they're going to feel. And there's actually a really cool study of, we look at, in society, we look at diet and exercise and this and that, of how that affects health. But this study came out of the effect of stress and long-standing stress in our bodies, and how that affects our health more than the way that we eat, more than how we exercise. So thinking of somebody in a larger sized body eating in the cafeteria, that can be a really stressful time for somebody in a larger sized body, wondering, is somebody judging me while I eat this salad, thinking, oh, I don't eat salads enough? Or is somebody judging me for eating this burger that I always eat healthy? So imagine that chronic level of stress and the health effects on our organs, on our bodies, on how our bodies run. And that's what this study proved, is that feeling of stress, how that can affect long-term health more than weight, more than other factors that we just assume. So trying to make all bodies be respected, all bodies cared for, not to look at somebody as a weight and to make assumptions. So that's something that I think can be addressed, and as we move forward in society, in the medical field, I think that would be awesome.
That is super cool. Yeah, and like for me, I'd be surprised if anyone's not guilty of this, but for me, I've definitely even felt that. For me, I consider myself, in air quotes now, because what is healthy anyway, right? But society's I'm okay, I'm eating a burger, but trust me guys, I eat really healthy, aside from this. And it's even funny because for me, I make chicken and broccoli and I bring it to work for lunch or whatever. And people making comments about it.
Right.
And that just opened my eyes of, if someone, whatever their weight may be, it could happen for both, for someone who weighs more or weighs less. That is super fascinating.
It is so fascinating. I totally agree.
I will be more aware of that. And I remember a few years ago, I used to have peanut butter sandwiches and carrots for lunch. And someone would, just because I had carrots, someone would tell me, wow, Ben, you're a healthy eater. I'm but I'm eating a peanut butter sandwich. It may not be terrible, but it's not woo, man, you're eating this kale and juice,
Yeah, right.
And that was also interesting to me, just people's different perception of eating and what is healthy and what isn't healthy.
Definitely.
Ooh. So what is healthy? Yeah, I really like again, it goes back to what does healthy look like for you? And I think that will be the challenge for this episode. And for me, that will be a really useful exercise for me. Just what is health to you? So we talked about Zeke, your husband, a little bit, and he is a picky eater. So what is it like being married to a picky eater? I will give him, because I know he'll listen to this, that he has made progress though. He tried Indian food when last time.
He's so great. Yeah, it is so funny that I'm a dietitian and I'm married to a man that does not eat fruit or
Yeah.
like not a ton of foods in a lot of those food groups.
He loves smoothies though.
Probably he does, I know. He's great. He is awesome though. He will give everything a try, and that's literally all I can ask. And he has definitely expanded his palate and his food preferences. And I think it's just been good for both of us, for me to be able to respect, like, he can eat what he wants and he can decide what, you know, I don't have to mother him in that aspect. And he's been really great and respectful of foods that I make, and I love going out and trying new restaurants and things like that. Again, just back to my foodie family, like I love it. I love making food. I love trying food and eating food, and he's wonderful to always just open up his mind a little bit and his mouth.
Well, that's funny. Like, so kind of pivoting a little bit to marriage, like, I mean, Asia, like, you are, like, I assume people listening, like, just in your voice, like, you are such, like, an endearing, nice person. Just a kind, like, soul, like, truly. But, like, in your marriage, and, like, whether it's diet or not, like, what have you guys, like, you don't have to go super deep, but, like, what's something that was, like, an area of conflict that you've made progress and you've triumphed over that?
That's so nice of you to say, number one. But number two, I sometimes, you know, Zeke's family is huge, right? Just like he's related to everybody in Salt Lake City. And so we go to a lot of wedding showers and things like that. So we've been asked a handful of times of some advice that we would maybe give to a new couple. And I think, I mean, one of the hardest things is just two individuals becoming one, you know, of your life becoming enmeshed completely. And that's, it takes a minute to adjust to that. And I think in the end, that communication is so key, and that all disappointment is just unmet expectations. And if you can communicate expectations with each other, then there'll be far less disappointment. And Zeke is wonderful at communicating. He's incredible, and he's so quick to forgive and this and that, and he's so flexible. And I sometimes struggle with being quick to forgive or voicing my expectations, because maybe I just want him to know, you know, that's maybe my expectation, is that I want him to just know. But I guess just recognizing that our minds work differently. We are two different people. And in order for me to not feel disappointed in the future, I maybe have to voice this so that he can meet me where I'm at and know what I'm expecting. And sometimes we'll even say, what are your hopes and dreams for tonight? What are your expectations for tonight? We'll just word it as plainly as that. And we can just voice them and say, and then we'll both be on the same page.
What are your hopes and dreams? I love that. That's super cool. Like, I like that. Shoot, I was going to ask you something. But, crap. Like, that's cool that you realized that. Oh, I realized what I was going to say. So I'm similar to you in that I don't like conflict, and I've worked on that a lot. So what's your advice? Because I know that you've struggled with, like, in relationships, like, voicing what you do want. Have you struggled with that?
Yes. No.
And so for me, because I'm a people pleaser, and so I'm like, no, like, let me do this. Like, I will, like, 9 times out of 10, I'll do what I don't want to do for you. Like, you can do what you want, you know, and I'll maybe not suffer is the right word, but take the back seat. So how have you worked on that? And, like, the growth and learning that you've experienced, like, what's your advice for others? And for me, it's never a challenge that's over. It's always a journey and a constant practice of doing it every day and every week.
Absolutely. Yes. And I think where communication is really key, I also think compromise is really key. You know, Zeke and I are also different people. I think, you know, he would love to just be hanging out all of the time. And I'm more of an introverted person, so sometimes I need a moment to debrief and maybe be by myself and things like that. So it's also recognizing this is the way that he thrives and this is the way that I thrive, and how can we compromise to both like meet our needs socially, like psychologically, like whatever that may be. And so I think compromise and like respect for each other is really key, of recognizing we can't always do what I want, we can't always do what you want, but like let's love each other and both agree like of what we can both do to have peace and to have fun, I guess.
No, that was great. Like for me, I love the question, how do you thrive and how do I thrive? And meshing those two together. I love that. Like I've never heard thrive before. Like in this situation, that was really cool. Asia, where have you learned this? Like, do you study this or listen to anyone? Just conversations? I should have asked you about all this stuff a lot easier or a lot earlier.
Oh, no, that's fine. You mean like with the marriage stuff in particular, or? Yeah,
sure. Like for marriage, like because you're very conscious, and I can tell you're intentional and descriptive about everything. Like you explain it easily, so that means you really know it.
That's nice. I don't know, as far as marriage, like, no, I would say just, I have a lot of friends who are married. I have really great examples. My parents, Zeke's parents. So we do have really great examples in our lives. I would say a large part of my job, I work hand in hand with therapists. So maybe I have that language a little bit down, and self-care and, all those self-love words and stuff. So maybe that's where that's coming out a little bit.
Yeah. Let's say for me, I'm going into a new relationship and I don't know how to voice, like you're still in that uncomfortable space, right? As far as like, I know we like each other, but I know it's like I'm still trying to impress them basically, right? Like after you're in a relationship for months and months or years and years, you're kind of done with impressing, So
yeah,
when you're in that middle ground of, I'm trying to impress them, but I'm still trying to like be myself, what's like a good way to start that conversation of, hey, let's talk about expectations, or how do you thrive? How do I thrive? Like how can a new relationship do that in your opinion?
Yeah, that is a good question. I don't know if I have the answer. They're so hard because it's so weird, because it feels like there's games sometimes and this and that and the balance. So I don't really know. I guess when you've decided, like personally, like I'm in a good place and this is the person that I feel like my best self with, I think that when you have that recognition yourself, that it's going to be easier and more comfortable to have those conversations with somebody. So maybe questioning, like, do I not feel comfortable talking about this? Do I feel nervous to, like, commit to this? Maybe that's kind of telling. So I'm not exactly sure of.
No, that was really good. I think sometimes questions are the best answers, and the questions you just posed are really good exercises that we should go through. Boom.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Good.
And then you have a pretty awesome child named Abel. And how old is he now?
He'll be 2 next week.
Wow. No way. 2?
Yeah.
Holy cow. That's crazy.
Oh.
So what's one maybe like surprise that people, I don't know, like obviously I'm not a mother, but what's one surprise that what surprised you about motherhood? Besides maybe, like, I think the classic example is the absolute feeling of love, that you can't love anything absolutely more than your child. Like, and you can't feel it until you actually go through it. Like, I assume that's correct, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes. What other was like, were there any other things that came as a surprise?
So, yeah, what you described is so true, and that's like on the the wonderful and best side of things. So let me speak to maybe the hard side of
Yeah, let's do it.
becoming a mother. I think that, you know, when I was pregnant and, you know, expecting this baby, I knew things were going to change. I knew that our lives were going to change, and from here on out it was going to change, and I knew that I was going to have to take care of this little person all of the time. But that was pretty consuming of, wait, this is 24/7. You know, I'm not used to a job that's 24/7. So that was kind of extreme when he was born, and I am, you know, we are the sole providers for this person, but especially me as I stay home more with Abel. So yeah, there's that aspect of, you know, with everything that has low lows, there are incredible high highs, and the high highs, I know that this is also cliche, but are so worth it. They are so much bigger and so much just more all-consuming than maybe the bad and hard parts of motherhood.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing. I think, and again, even that goes into, you can say it. Yeah, it's completely consuming 24/7, but until you actually go through it, like I'm trying to imagine myself like waking up every 2 hours and all this. I'm like, man, that would suck, but obviously it's worth it.
Yes, so is just being able to like live the world through their new eyes and watching them learn things. You know, as I said, he's turning 2 next week, and sometimes I have those moments of, you know, where is my baby? Where is he gone? He's not little anymore. And be sad. But mostly I just feel like so proud and so excited to watch him grow and learn new things and be proud of himself and just see the little person he's becoming. And it's so fun.
Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, so pivoting back to, as we come closer to the end of the interview, if you could give just one simple tip for whether it's diet or nutrition, like what's one easy, simple, small change that you recommend that we do today?
I guess, oh my goodness, I could come up with a million, but I think it would be, maybe like starting back with your relationship with food, or what we said before of like make your own definition of what health truly means to you and what are your goals in life, and how can we be a piece to maybe dismantle diet culture or this pedestal that we have of appearances, like we said in the beginning of, can we maybe make a comment about a person's qualities or challenges or things that they face or positivity about that instead of the way that they look? Or can we maybe question a diet and maybe strengthen our relationship with food? Can we maybe define health in a more broad sense of the term than maybe what society would answer what health is?
Yeah, I love that. Have you written down your definition of health?
Oh, that's a great question. No, I haven't. I mean, I probably have in my life because I've done this assignment with patients a lot. I mostly just kind of roll with it, and I think that sometimes maybe here and there, like, it changes a little bit, you know, as my life changes. But yeah, I think to me that health means having, like, I'll use my word thriving again, but a thriving and healthy relationship with food and a thriving and healthy relationship with myself and my body. Not wanting to change myself, being present and being confident in myself, being able to be present with my family, with my friends, with my loved ones. And then, yeah, I think that means more to me than the foods that I eat. Yeah,
that's super cool. And it's like a mission statement, like, you know, for like a company or a department or whatever, or a family. Sure. It's like your motto, like your mission statement, like your value, but for health. And I think that's really cool. So you can always come back to that if you ever wander or stray or question it.
Yeah, value-based eating has a lot better results than diet-based eating, for sure.
Boom. Okay, and then what are your favorite Instagram accounts to follow?
Oh man, I have a lot, but Beauty Redefined is a wonderful Instagram account, positive body image. I love it. Evelyn Tribble is one of the authors of the book Intuitive Eating, and she's recently on Instagram, and she's killing
Cool.
it. Those are kind of my main. I also love following Paige Smathers. So Intuitive Eating, Health at Every Size. The Intuitive Trainer, that's a really good body movement intuitive Instagram account. Yeah, those are some of my faves.
Okay, sweet. I'm gonna have to have you like write these down so I can like put them in the bio, just because like I want to check it, but I think everyone else should like check it, because you think of like how mindlessly we scroll through Instagram. We might as well have some things that we actually want to follow and we actually love and that can get some value from, instead of just mind-numbing stuff.
Yeah, and if you're hoping to change your mindset, surrounding and immersing yourself in the new positive mindset that you want is going to be really helpful.
Yep. Okay, sweet. I agree. All right. So before we end, I have a segment called Scroll My Soul, which what that means is I make notes on my phone every time I have a conversation or I read or I listen to something, anything I'm inspired by. I keep notes of it in my phone, and I randomly scroll through it, and I stop, and then whatever's on that page, I pick something for this, and I think it's meant for this. And so when I read you what I wrote down, I would like to hear how it relates to you, or whether you have a story or your thoughts on it or your experience with it. Cool?
Yeah.
So what I have written here is, worrying is like praying for what you don't want. So again, worrying is like praying for what you don't want.
Okay. Yeah, no. What immediately comes to my mind is when I make goals with my patients, we often end our sessions making a few goals, goals that touch on our relationship with food, with our relationship with exercise, and our relationship with our bodies. And I'm always trying to make those goals in a positive sense. So instead of, what should I say? Like instead of don't go to the gym like 7 days, because we're trying to, strengthen their relationship with their bodies and their appearance and things like that. So instead of like, don't go to the gym 7 days in a row, trying to make it more in a positive, like allow my body rest. So I think that like viewing it in a more positive and a positively worded goal is helpful in us to achieve it. Because when I say don't go to the gym for 7 days, I'm just going to think about going to the gym, right? It's like in my goal. But instead,
That's really cool.
allow my body rest and respect.
So in this example, someone is obsessively going to the gym because they're like obsessed with how they look or how much they weigh. Is that this situation?
Yeah, I probably should have said that before too. So yeah,
Okay.
I have a lot of patients that have maybe more of an obsessive, unhealthy relationship with exercise and with their bodies. So, we're trying to maybe break that habit. So yeah, that would be a goal of trying to limit our gym use.
Okay, and I like how you frame that of don't go to the gym for 7 days. It's, hey, or even if it's one day, like allow yourself one rest day to like rejuvenate. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
I think, yeah.
You are dropping knowledge, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben.
So, as we conclude, any last tips or advice for anyone out there? Any last thoughts? Like if you could, like this is recorded, it'll be out there. So if you don't say another word ever because you don't want to piss people off, what would you say?
I would I don't know. I think that it's important to view health and view what you want in life in the long term. And, long term, seeking what health means to you. And if you do feel like you are struggling, again, like I said, eating disorders and disordered eating is so common. It knows no color, no race, no gender. So if you do feel like you are struggling, to seek help, that there is no shame in that, and to have us be a conversation piece, and let's each do our part in trying to dismantle diet culture a little bit.
Okay. I like that. Well, Asia, thank you so much for doing this. Seriously, I appreciate it. I'm excited to listen back to it and see what other little gems I can find and apply to my own life.
Great. Thanks so much, Ben.
Okay. Thank you. See ya.
Bye.
What's up, y'all? I hope you enjoyed that episode with Asia. This week's challenge is inspired by Beauty Redefined, and we want you to create your own definition of health. So you should have heard me and Asia talk about this, and I think this is a really awesome idea. Instead of relying on society's definition or someone else whatever it may be, we are going to create our own definition of health, because diets do not always equal health. What does health mean to you? What makes you feel good? How can you eat intuitively? Doing what everyone else does is not necessarily the best for you. Looking fit or healthy, in air quotes, doesn't mean you're healthy either. Find what works for you. And once you do this, I'd love to see what your definitions are. You can send me a DM, comment, video, whatever you want to do. And there are a few ways you can report back once you complete this challenge. You can post on Facebook or Instagram using hashtag Goalink Challenge. Tag us in your stories or use the Goalink hotline. The hotline is if you want to report it anonymously, but you still want a form of accountability. To use the hotline, call 385-626-0525 and follow the instructions. Follow us at Goalink Group. My name is Ben. I love you, and this is The Goalink Show.